Tamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatum jayo dhiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki guruve gauri chandraya radhikaya tadalaye krishnaya krishna bhaktaya tadbhaktaya namo namah नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रिये कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमो किंचन वित्ताय निवृत्तगुणवृत्तये आत्मरामाय शान्ताय कैवल्ये पतये नमः हरे कृष्ण Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we were reading Granth Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 19. Lord Vamanadeva begs charity from Bali Maharaj. And we read till text number 21. This chapter is very, very important and very, very practical also, because there are a lot of lessons about overcoming greed and being happy and satisfied in whatever Krishna arranges. In the material world, everyone is dissatisfied and unhappy. Why? Because of endless desires. The more we try to satisfy, the more it's adding fuel to the fire. There's no end. What is the real wealth? The real wealth is the wealth of sense control. Uncontrolled senses are the root cause of problems or dissatisfaction. So Prabhupada gives elaborate purports to these verses. Let's study. Now Vamanadeva had offered him, ask something big, man. Think big. You're a child, you're talking like a child, you don't know what's going on. Actually, my wife was reading Ramayana today and she was mentioning that in the Valmiki Ramayana, there is a place called Siddhashrama. There's a place called Siddhashram where Vamanadeva was doing tapasya for a very, very long time. And then the demigods come to him and say, Vamanadeva, please help us. This Bali has taken our kingdom. And then Vamanadeva says, okay, I'll come. He was doing for thousands and thousands of years. He was doing tapasya there. So that's kind of a background we can know. So text 21, Lord said, well, those who are not satisfied, those whose senses are uncontrolled, will never be satisfied. So let's study the next verse in this series. The Supreme Lord is speaking these verses to Bali Maharaj upon when Bali said, ask something big. Tribhi karmair asantushto dvipena pina puryate navavarsha sametena saptadvipa varichaya. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. If I were not satisfied with the 3 pieces of land, then surely I would not be satisfied even with the possessing of the 7 islands consisting of the 9 varshas. Even if I possessed 1 island, I would hope to get others. Sounds very, very practical, right? There are 7 islands with 9 varshas. We have studied that Jambu Dvipa, Palaksha Dvipa, so many Dvipas created by, who knows the answer? Who created these 7 Dvipas?
Priyavrata Maharaj.
Priyavrata Maharaj, very nice. And he divided these 7 Dvipas to his main 7 sons. And then they further divided into different, like Jambu Dvipa was divided into different Varshas, Ilavrata Varsha, and these versions, so many, Bharat Varsha being one of them. And in that Bharat Varsha, there are different khandas. There are 9 khandas. And Bharat Khanda, where we are, is one of them. So yes, Priyavrata Maharaj, like a son, move around on this disc, and then it was divided by the wheels. There were so big wheels. These depressions were formed, and then different liquids are there between these dvipas. So, but coming back to the point, we are not going in the geography here. We are going in a very important point, that if Lord Vamanadeva, Sri Bhagavan is saying this, if I get one island, let's say you gave me Jambudvip, then I was saying, well, how I wonder I should have got Pulakshadweep. Oh, there are more facilities there. Oh, that has more land. Isn't that what happens to us, to me? If I get this phone and then, oh, I should have got that phone. Oh, if I get this job, oh, how I wonder I should have got that job. Oh, those who are in India think, oh, how I wonder I go to Switzerland. Those who are in Switzerland, how I think, oh, it would have been so nice. It would have, I could have been in Hawaii. Those who are renting a home feel, I wish I had a home of my own. Those who have one home, they wish, oh, how I have a vacation home also. That would have been so nice. Someone may have a vacation home. Oh, my vacation home is so big, so small. My neighbor, look at him. His vacation home is so big. My job is so small. I have to work so hard. There is no end to desires. There is no end, right? You all agree with that? Or is it just my feeling? The Supreme Lord is saying, if I am not satisfied with the 3 pieces of land which is required for me, I will not be satisfied. Even if you give me 7 islands, I'll be, wanting more. There is enough for everyone's need, but not enough for one man's greed. Greed is can never be satiated. The more we put fire in the fuel in the fire, the more the fire will grow. So these are very, very important verses to overcome greed, to develop the sense of satisfaction, to develop the sense of gratitude, to develop being happy in every circumstance. This is Krishna consciousness. This is what Lord is teaching us. So, any other comments anyone has? 23 was not yet read. Wants to read? Anyone? Kashish Mataji, you want to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Dandat Pranam to all devotees. Text number 23. Sapta Tripa Padhi Patayo Nripa Venya Gayadayaha Arthair Kame Gata Nantam Krishnaya Iti Nahashrutam. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. We have heard that although powerful kings like Maharaja Prithu and Maharaj Gaya achieved proprietorship over the 7 dvipas, they could not achieve satisfaction or find the end of their ambitions. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So here, uh, Lord is saying that uh, even after getting proprietorship of the whole world and the whole universe, there is no end to their ambitions. So this applies to us humans also, that whatever we achieve, we are never satisfied. We always want more, more, more. And that is the main reason of the miseries of humans. So it's very difficult to follow, but easy to say that we should put in kind of break on what we really want and what we desire. All desires are not supposed to be fulfilled. So you should try to restrict it and concentrate more on Krishna, because this life is very important. We have already wasted a lot of it on mundane activities, mundane wishes. Now it's really high time to concentrate on the name of Lord and try to progress in our life. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. Very nice. Trishna. Trishna. Mriga Trishna. We have discussed this word. Trishna. Trishna, Mriga Trishna cannot be satisfied. The deer running here and there for happiness, search for happiness. How can we satisfy Mriga Trishna? By situating at the lotus feet of the Lord, and giving up the miserly attitude, giving up the greedy attitude, and serving devotees, serving Guru, serving Prabhupada, serving his mission, donating for the noble causes like building temples, car protection, book distribution, prasad distribution, etc., spiritual causes. That will help us because one could save every penny, but still, can one assure that I will have a secure future by saving every penny? No. What if the thieves will take? Can anyone say like that? The thieves may take, the medical bills may take it, the government may take it, the destiny may take it. So better, and at that time, one may think, oh, how I wish better I should have given some donation only, rather than paying these thousands of dollars of medical bills. Correct? His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu says a very nice thing in this regard. One time he had gone to Govardhan ashram, and he was bathing in a holy water body, and his clothes were outside. He was in the water with the gamcha, and his clothes were outside. And of course, after their stay, they gave some donation. So to the devotees managing the ashram. And then his clothes were taken by the monkeys. So he had to practically come back in the gamcha, back to the ashram. So, and then he said that whatever I was planning to give, I gave that day only. Why? Because future we don't know. The monkeys will take it. The monkeys of material world will take it, whether it's one's family or the medical bills or the government, taxes or the laws. What may change? Anything may change, or we may not be there. We are thinking of planning the how I live after 70 years, but who knows who's going to live till 70 years, right? So that doesn't mean, as Grace Adhikar Prabhu was telling, that doesn't mean we should not plan or we should not save. But one should not be so obsessed about it that one just saving. He gave a very nice example of a couple who was saving. They went to India or early retirement. Everything they thought very nice. Now I'm retired. Now we'll just stay and chant Hare Krishna. Then they went to India, and then the desire started to increase. And then their old friends and materialistic lifestyle started to creep in, hanging out and social gatherings and this and that. In short, got distracted from the real objective. So whatever has to come will come. That's actually in the next verse. So let's dive deeper into the next verse. Very, very important. Yes, Jyoti Mataji, you want to read?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna to all the assembled devotees. Yadrichayopapannena santushto vartate sukham na santushtastribhirloke ajitatmopasaditai. Translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny, for discontent can never bring happiness. A person who is not self-controlled will not be happy even with possessing the three worlds. Purport: if happiness is the ultimate goal of life, one must be satisfied with the position in which he is placed by Providence. This instruction is also given by Prahlad Maharaj. Sukham indriyakam daitya Deha yogena dehinam sarvatra labhyate daivad yatha dukkham ayatnata. My dear friends, born of demoniac families, the happiness perceived with reference to the sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life, according to one's past fruitive activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just as we obtain distress. Bhagavatam 7.6.3. This philosophy is perfect in regard to obtaining happiness. Real happiness is described in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, verse 21. Sukhamai atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam sthitas chalati tatvatah. In the spiritual joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth. One has to perceive happiness by the super senses. The super senses are not the senses of the material elements. Every one of us is a spiritual being, Aham Brahmasmi, and every one of us is an individual person. Our senses are now covered by material elements, and because of ignorance, we consider the material senses that cover us to be our real senses. The real senses, however, are within the material covering. Dehinosmin yatha dehe. Within the covering of the material elements are the spiritual senses. Sarvopadhi vinirmukta tat paratvena nirmalam. When the spiritual senses are uncovered, by these senses we can be happy. Satisfaction of the spiritual senses is thus described. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. When the senses are engaged in devotional service to Rishikesha, then the senses are completely satisfied. Without this superior knowledge of sense gratification, one may try to satisfy his material senses, but happiness will never be possible. One may increase his ambition for sense gratification and even achieve what he desires for the gratification of his senses. But because this is on the material platform, he will never achieve satisfaction and contentment. Prabhuji, can I continue or should I stop here?
Let's see if anyone else wants to read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I can read.
Jai
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. According to the Brahmanical culture, one should be content with whatever he obtains without special endeavor and should cultivate spiritual consciousness. Then he will be happy. The purpose of Krishna conscious movement is to spread this understanding. People who do not have a scientific spiritual knowledge mistakenly think that the members of Krishna consciousness movement are escapists trying to avoid material activities. In fact, however, we are engaged in real activities for obtaining the ultimate happiness in life. If one is not trained to satisfy the spiritual senses and continues in material sense gratification, he will never obtain happiness that is eternal and blissful. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 5.5.1 therefore recommends tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam suheda yasmad brahma sukham the anantam. One must practice austerity so that his essential position will be purified and he will achieve unlimited blissful life. Back to you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Jyoti Mataji and Kirti Mataji. Yadrichaya, very, very important word. That means whatever comes by the Lord's arrangement. Yadrichaya. Not by my ichha, by this arrangement, whether the ichha of the Supreme Lord or the destiny, because ultimately destiny works under His direction. Whatever is obtained, upapanena, santushta, very important words. One should be satisfied, santosha. That is the formula for happiness. If one has this first thing, one will be happy. That means if one has satisfaction, one will be happy. If one has the shoes of satisfaction, then the thorns of desires won't trouble that person. And what if it's not? This is the words of Supreme Lord Vamanadeva. Na santushta. That means if one is not satisfied, even after getting the three planetary systems, Tribhir Loki, what will happen? One will not be happy. Ajit Atma, one who cannot, who is Ajita, one who is not victorious over one's mind and senses, who cannot control, who is a loser. Loser is not materially successful or materially failure. Ajita is refers to one who's not successful to control one's mind and senses, and even after getting the three worlds, one will be unhappy. In short, dissatisfied person will never be happy, even if one may have millions of dollars or whatever in life. One will not be happy if one is dissatisfied. On the contrary, if one is satisfied with whatever comes, good or bad, happy or sad, wealth or poverty, health or disease, Krishna, I am so grateful. You have given me much more than I deserve and much more than I need. Thank you so much. Being grateful, being happy, being satisfied, not comparing to what those. Some people, there are so many pictures and presentations we may have seen. I'll try to find something. A child is comparing about, oh, dad, you didn't give me Nike shoes, you gave me Adidas shoes or Puma shoes. I wanted Nike shoes. And he said when he saw the person wearing a plastic bottle as a footwear, then they don't talk about the shoes, right? So I may be comparing, I want this brand shoes or that brand shoes. There are people without the legs or without the feet or without even the basic chappal. They're putting plastic bottles as their footwear, isn't it? Then we'll become humble. Then we'll see the reality. And we should teach ourselves and our kids also by taking them to places where they see the reality of life. Especially in US is more required because kids don't even see. They think, oh, I'll just ask my mother and father and they'll get mother or father also being trying to make the kid happy. They'll just get it for the child. And often it may lead to bad actually. Fulfilling all their desires is not an idea of good parenting. This is what scriptures say. Otherwise, how will they learn to be satisfied? How will they learn to be tolerant? Of course, it doesn't mean we go to the other extreme and not give them anything, but both the extremes are bad. To satisfying, if they want this, okay, I'll get this. If they want that, I'll get that. That's also not a very healthy idea. So, satisfaction. Satisfaction brings happiness. And very, very important point Prabhupada is making here, uncovering the spiritual senses. Let's stop kind of focusing on the outside senses. Let's try to nourish the inside senses. The spiritual senses, within the covering of the material element, are the spiritual senses. That is real happiness. When the spiritual senses are uncovered, then we can be really happy. In short, because we are not this body, right? by getting a better car or a better house, or with a nice pool and jacuzzi and this, or a nice vacation home. All this is for what? Spiritual senses or material senses? Anyone? All
Material
these
senses.
material senses. These are for body. These are bodily pleasures. Big house, big car, big, boat, big whatever. And we are not the body, or in short, these are for the body, external body. And we are not the body. We have discussed this. Therefore, it is very, very important. We all want to be happy. But to be happy, we have to know who we are. If we don't know who we are, then how can we be happy? Because we are trying to make the material body happy, and we are not that. So how can we ever be happy trying to make the body happy? Because we are not the body. But the great souls who uncovered their spiritual senses, they are always happy. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Because they are happy in the true spirit, at the spiritual level. That's real happiness. That happiness no one can steal, no one can destroy, no one can take it away from us. Does that make sense? Uncovering the spiritual sense. Therefore, we need to follow Bhakti Yoga. Easier said than done, as Kashish Mother just said. These principles are very, very, for me to speak is very easy. But I'm just repeating for my own purification, and that I can try to apply these more sincerely. But this is a formula to engage the senses in in the service of the master of the senses. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. Then we will be happy. Otherwise, no matter how much bodily comfort we get, ultimately, after a few days or a few moments, what to speak of days, it will fade away. But spiritual happiness is everlasting. Kevala Ananda Kanda, ocean of happiness. Material happiness is a drop of happiness in the desert, drop of pleasure in the desert, illusory happiness. Any other comments anyone has? This connection. Okay, so this is a memory verse as well. Yadrichaya upapanena santushto vartate sukham na santushtastribhirloke ajit atmopasaditai. Those who want can try to learn this. First two lines talk about satisfaction and the outcome. Next two lines talk about the dissatisfaction and the outcome. Choice is ours, what we want to follow. We want to choose happiness or satisfaction, or we want to choose being unhappy and dissatisfied. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Purana ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Samvita Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hare Bol.